leave it to online sleuths to determine whether that's legitimate or not. Who knows? Because if you're willing to pour tens of millions of dollars into a Republican primary in the 4th District of Kentucky, you're probably willing to do whatever it takes. And maybe they did. We don't know that. Not alleging it. But we do know that's not what democracy looks like. Democracy is the process by which people express their will, by which they say, this is how we want our country to be run because it's our country. It doesn't belong to Miriam Adelson or Paul Singer or Israel or Big Pharma for that matter, or any other small group of rich people. It's not the plaything of billionaires. It doesn't belong to the oligarchs. It belongs to us. And here's what we want. And you can't ignore us because we're the owners here. And this is shareholders meeting and we're voting. And when people win in a race like this, there's evidence of it. And that evidence takes very familiar forms. Enthusiasm, joy, and just sheer numbers. Like people show up, they can't believe it. We beat the evil Thomas Massie with his jihadi backers. This is a blow against Islamic Jihad, whatever that is. Islamic Jihad, which along with Hamas is one of the big problems in the 4th District of Kentucky. They've been very, very concerned about Islamic Jihad and Hamas and Hezbollah for a long time in Covington. But anyway, there was no such display. And so it makes you wonder, this election itself, was it another part of the humiliation ritual? Was it a way of saying to the rest of us, people who sort of believed in democracy, it's all fake? We can get a guy whose last name we can't pronounce elected on a platform everybody in America hates because we can, because we're billionaires and you're not. And of course our priorities are not aligned with yours. In fact, we hate your priorities and we hate you. We're going to do this to you anyway. Even in Kentucky, we can do it. It's possible that's the message they were sending. Pretty certain, actually. So on one level, this is the saddest moment in a long time. It's not just the death of Thomas Massie's immediate political career, which may be resurrected, one never knows. It's obviously the death of MAGA, whatever that was. But it's also, of course, the end of the Republican Party, as we thought we knew it. The Republican Party of right now bears absolutely no resemblance to the Republican Party we thought we had just elected less than a year and a half ago. None at all. Its parties are completely different. Its slogans are completely different. It is not the same thing. And maybe there's a working majority somewhere of people who support the new priorities of the Republican Party, but the question would be, where is that? Haaretz readers clearly do. They think that was the most important race in America. Amazing that they were following it. But in this country, nobody supports this. Nobody does. And so that's not all bad. And it's not bad because the one thing we know is that nothing will be the same after this. This is too much. They went too far. This is a victory, but it's likely a Pyrrhic victory, actually. Because we now know, because it's been confirmed, how the system actually works. And no, it's not a democratic system. It bears no resemblance to a democratic system at all. A small number of people who are more concerned about a foreign country than our country decide who gets elected. No, that's not a hateful conspiracy theory. That's a demonstrable fact that they admit. So it's on the basis of that that we can proceed. And by that, I mean the truth. That's the truth. What people whispered about, those crazies on the internet, has now been proven for everyone to see. Nothing will ever be the same again. And you got to think it's going to be a little better because there will be actual reform. We have gone too far. And so whatever comes next, whether it's in the Republican Party or outside it, is likely to be much more honest and direct and less ashamed. Much more willing to tell the truth, as uncomfortable as it may make some people, because the truth is always worth telling, always. And a politics based on anything but the truth is always poisonous. So yes, this is a low point. Is it the end point? Not at all. It's the beginning. Maybe of something great. What was that?
And that's something that Dave Smith was just talking about. He was referring to this as a new beginning, and I kind of agree. I would actually have to agree. I think that Thomas Massie is when you get out of the boomer sphere, when you get out of Fox News territory, and you talk to people that are younger than 65 and paying attention and not liberal, they like him a lot. I like him a lot. If you follow his story and look at what he's done, what he's built, his intellect, it's a very Ron Paul-esque. He's a very Ron Paul-esque kind of guy, and he just seems like a real person, a very high functioning and high achieving person, but still a real person that has principles, values, and was obviously willing to not fold for anything. He wasn't willing to compromise. And compromise is good sometimes. but not when it comes to your core values. And let's be clear, just like Tucker was saying, the core values that were established, that were MAGA, are unrecognizable at this point. Does anybody now recognize what MAGA even means anymore? I mean, make America great again. I don't know how we're making America great again in Iran right now, in Venezuela, in Cuba. How is that making America great again? And I think this opens up a massive avenue, a massive lane. I don't know if any of these people, whether it be Tucker, whether it be Massie, whether it be Kent, Marjorie Taylor Greene, I don't know if any of them can make it past the Republican primary, and that's ultimately the issue that we're like facing right now. Tucker's notion that the Republican Party is changed forever is true. The question now becomes: is it too fractured to be viable going forward? That is the main question. You're going to have two massive, competing, diametrically opposed parts of the Republican Party. It's almost going to be like running in an independent lane. You're going to have the Fox News boomer crowd that they're going to support the neocon boilerplate Republican guy, and which at this point, crazy enough, is the Donald Trump side. And then you're going to have the people that really thought like this populist movement actually meant something, and that we just want to focus inward on ourselves, care for ourselves, get our house in order, stop foreign conflicts, which we thought was the thing. Get the border under control, get immigration under control, have a vision that we can actually see our children thrive in. That we all thought that was the point. We thought that that's where this was all going. And I've said it before, but one of the first signs, which was very this is where my disappointment began to peak a little bit. Things began to be a little bit curious. Was when Doge kind of fizzled out. It was that would have been an amazing thing had we let that just live and breathe and just thrive. Once they stopped Doge and did not allow Doge essentially to go into DOD, now the Department of War, to me, that should have been a major red flag, because that's the people's money that's being spent on things that we don't know about. And if you don't think that there is a just immense amount of fraud in the DOD department, or now, like I said, now the Department of War, with $1 trillion budget. What is that? $1 trillion is something that no one can actually wrap their heads around, something like that. And this is money that's just being thrown around year after year. And meanwhile, the middle class is being hollowed out. Kids can't afford anything. Home prices are out of control. Food prices are out of control. Gas. You just go down the list and people are just furious. And the ones who aren't, again, and the reason why the boomer crowd isn't that mad is because they're also, I don't really fault them for it, because they're kind of also insulated. They're isolated. They're contained because they've established a baseline where, a few dollars here, a few dollars there, the prices of their home skyrocket. So they have leverage to combat really much of what's going on right now. So one, it's not their fault because of that, but also because of the new media. People consuming this right now, or Tucker's last show, or like I said, Dave Smith had another great Thomas Massie breakdown. They're in the weeds. They understand that all of this is propaganda. Everything, even what I'm spewing right now, because I'm sure some has infected me to a certain degree, and I'm now putting it out there and passing it along. But the self-awareness that we all have in that is what makes it all different. We understand that we're constantly being bombarded by propaganda, by the algorithm that is seeping in through everything that we look at, every screen, every individual contact that we have with a person, because behind that person is also another screen that they're getting the information from. And it's a perpetual cycle of propaganda. Not all, obviously. There obviously has to be some truths. But what are they? How do you find them? How do you verify them? That has to come almost from within. It has to be something that when something feels too good, check it again. Recheck it. See where it comes from. And it's a very difficult thing to do. But getting back to Massie, I really do think that with his loss, he right now has the greatest potential to be the next president of the United States. And I will say that because he's extremely popular. I mean, if you cut out everybody over the age of 65, Massie wins in a landslide. So the popularity is with the youth. When it comes to Massie, the popularity is with the youth, the more informed, the non-traditional media consuming crowd. You know, so that's where the future is. So maybe not this time around, but why not? Why not? If he can get past the primary. Now, I'm sure there's going to be an absolute shit ton of money poured if he runs. I feel like Tucker wants him to run. I think Dave Smith wants him to run. There's a ton of people on the right, on the political right. We'll have to see where Jones is and Nick and all the other big players. I tell you who's going to come up. I'm sure Daily Wire is going to be very against him. Will they even be a viable option at that point? That's the other weird thing, is that you have all these media companies and conglomerates and corporations that are just shells of their former self, yet they're still pushing forward these ideas that get out there into the space, because they're also a large company. But all this is to say that I really do think that Massie has an excellent chance. I think that he would get a ton of support. He's got 7 months left to be in the be in government before he goes away. That might be just a perfect time. He's going to get out. Midterms are going to take over. I'm sure the Republican Party is going to get shellacked, and Dems will take over. It's going to be a shit show. There's going to be, you know what? I was going to say initially that there might be impeachments, but I don't know at this point. I think that enough has happened where the swamp that was supposed to be eradicated has now been so satiated by the current acts of this current administration that I don't know if the impeachments are going to be coming. I really don't think so. I think that the Uniparty is totally in control. I think that at this point, as disappointed as I am, it seems like Trump is going along with the program, and I think he's going to ride out into the sunset without much pushback going forward, unless something drastic happens in the next 6 months, which I can't see. The amount of drastic change that's happened in the past 18 months has just, it's been an absolute whirlwind. I don't recognize what the hell is going on anymore. This is not what I voted for. This is not what vast majority of quote unquote MAGA voted for. And people are pissed. People are upset. But again, it seems like the Uniparty has taken over. They've taken hold. Don't know what we're going to do about it, but I'm still very, I don't know. I kind of am. I think there's a bright future when it comes to this coalition that's organizing right now, because it's a lot of informed people. It's a lot of really smart people. It's a lot of people that understand the new media, that understand how to messaging, getting the word out. They got a lot of eyeballs, a ton of eyeballs. I mean, you're talking about, Tucker Carlson. I mean, the only other people playing around in this space right now that are kind of like still very pro-Trump, like I guess the guys from like PBD podcasts, they're obviously still very pro-Trump. They'll kind of go a little bit back and forth, but for the most part, the big dogs in the space, they're on the Massie train. I think he's going to get a lot of push to say, all right, let's do a real exploratory committee. Let's see how this is going to play out. And he's going to have a ton of people backing him up. I mean, it would be amazing. It would absolutely be amazing. I hope he does it. I hope you hope he does it. And as soon as he, anything that he puts out, I'm ready to put my support behind him. And because everything that I've seen, he's the guy. He's the guy that we want. Can he do anything? I don't know. At this point, I don't know, because we thought we had somebody that was, at that level of giving a shit, and stuff turned on a dime. So all we can do is hope that that this stuff actually still works, that this constitutional republic and these democratically elected people, that they still function as they should, even though we kind of know that they don't. But maybe if we get the right person in, we can at least stop the hemorrhaging and pull back a little bit on this insanity that's been going on. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for joining me. John Soto. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, send it out to your friends. I'm going to be switching it up now a little bit and doing some different type of content. If you like it, let me know. If you don't, also let me know, because that'll help me too. Take care. See you on the next video. Bye.